MLL Insurance, Chris Cook. How are you, Chris?
Good morning.
I went with the MLL instead of the Myers, Lombardini, and Lemansky.
Good choice.
But I can still knock that out.
Yeah.
So how are things going?
Very good, very good. Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Absolutely. So you guys just joined the JCCA. Talk a
Yes.
little bit about that partnership.
It's been fun. A group that I really had no idea about, but kind of, sort of, I don't know. We've been looking at it the last couple of years and just got in. Know a lot of people in the group, tons of people in the group. But I'm really surprised at what they're all about. I guess they're kind of advocating for keeping things local, keeping the jobs and keeping everybody abreast of all the big projects that are going on for some of the smaller contractors, which I think is awesome. Recently, in the last few meetings, last few months, they've given away scholarships, which that's awesome to some of these newer high school guys that are thinking about going into the trades. The idea of doing that now is top of mind, whereas when we were running around, it was college, and to be able to give some scholarships to some of these kids was really, really cool. Last week was a meeting for the month, and they gave away $1,000 scholarships to 5 high school kids, and I think they did. That was just kind of an impromptu thing. I think the previous month they typically give 5 $1,000 scholarships out on a regular basis. So
Isn't that amazing? No one was talking to you and I about the trades in high school, were they?
No, they weren't. I mean, they weren't. It's out there, but it's really just all what the kids know and what's around them.
I was at that meeting, not this month, but the previous month, and they had invited students from area high schools that were interested in the trades just to come and network, and it was impromptu. Members who were in attendance, they collected money on the spot, and they were able to give, I think at least 5, it might have been more, $1,000 cash scholarships to 5 of the kids they drew from a hat.
That's pretty cool.
And that's on top of the trade scholarships that they give every year, and I think they're going to be doing that next month, just at the, graduation time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and JCCA, by the way, Jackson Commercial Contractors Association. And you're right, they have really encouraged decision makers when it comes to choosing companies and people for projects to stay local. And that's,
Important.
as a local insurance agent, that's important to you that people make that local decision.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And the idea of the kids, at that meeting, they were just being able to network with these different, business owners. Kids just aren't, they don't have that opportunity. And if it's not offered to them, they would never know. I think it's nice to be able to have a conversation with somebody to say, what do you do on a daily basis? How much money are you making? Because now these guys in the trades are really making some good money, and I think the hours are probably endless. If you find a kid that's eager and wants to get out there and work, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah, you can. And like you said, you can do that immediately in high school and right out of high school. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about our homeowners. I'm interested with the rising home prices. Really, the last few years, I think it's been a massive shot up. But cost of goods and replacement, if you look at your homeowner, say you bought a house 10 years ago, the cost to replace existing structure is probably a little bit more, and then the cost of your contents, I would assume, with inflation. Do we need to take a look at our homeowners?
I would say yes. I know this is probably the first time there's a couple different endorsements that actually, as an agent, we add on every single home policy, right? So if you have a home policy, it's called an increased cost endorsement or a guaranteed home replacement cost endorsement. So if you don't have that, or you don't have some type of an inflationary increase with the company that you're at, then you need to call me.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that people talk about is the replacement costs.
Yeah.
But the reason why we add those is because of this time that we're in right now. It's a perfect example. You know, we've been talking about years in the past. This is what potentially could happen. Well, we're in it. You know,
Yeah.
the building costs are they are increasing, and everyone is probably seeing an uptick in their replacement costs of their homes. And sometimes we've gotten a lot of calls. You know, hey, the premium's gone up a little bit. Well, you know, I think the insurance companies have been more aggressive in this past year to make sure if you are with a company that has an inflationary setup where the replacement cost of your home is at $100,000 and then it ticks up to maybe 120 or 130, with them knowing that the costs to rebuild a house or to do any construction is on the rise. So we add that those two things to every single home policy for this exact point in time. I think, you know, the replacement costs for like our little ranch used to be in the 170, 180 per square foot, and that's just kind of, I always like to break down whatever the computer kicks out to a per square foot, because that's I know builders are building houses for this much, and you know, it's an upwards of 220, 230 a square foot. So it's important to make sure you're looking right now at that exact thing. If you don't have some type of a inflationary policy that increases that, you know, every year as they go up, then you really need to
Open that envelope for the first time in your life.
take a look at it.
Cars also, you know, people buy a car, they drive it off the lot. It used to be, you know, instantly depreciated. Now it's actually appreciates after you drive it off the lot. Is the same thing apply to the car insurance replacement value?
It does, and this is the first time where we're seeing kids and people that have, you know, totaled out an old vehicle and they're getting paid more than what they owe on it. You know, and I you know, we all know, I think the same thing is the replacement cost of vehicles. You know, it's just the time that we're in right now. The little switches or the electrical problems with everything, and the supply. You know, the one thing we've seen is, okay, if I wreck my car today, you know, it's taken these body shops sometimes a little bit longer to repair those vehicles because it's harder getting parts and just with everything that's going on. So, you know, the other way that you can add, and a lot of people have like a road trouble service that's on the auto policy, but you can add also like a rental reimbursement. So if you're in an accident, a covered claim, or if you're in the middle of a claim, you would be allotted, you know, $30, $40 a day for a rental car. So with that being said, if it's taken you, you know, a month or 2 weeks, you know, if it's normally a week or two and it's now taken 2 or 3 weeks and you don't have a car, if I can't borrow my car from Dad, you know, it's probably good to have a rental car, you know, and adding that coverage on the auto policies, you know, I don't know, $30, $40 a year, you know. It's not a ton, but it's...
I'll go without a car for 2 or 3 weeks and you'll wish you had it, of course.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
What about the $400? Are we getting $400?
Oh, yeah, everybody's got some money. Did you guys get it yet?
No.
I got 1 out of 2.
Can you get them on ATVs?
You can't.
Okay.
So it's really just the vehicles. I know that people ask about campers and things like that too. It's really for vehicles that were charged that Michigan, like catastrophic claims, charge on their vehicle. So if you had liability on your vehicle, then you are eligible to get that $400 per car. If you had coverage on it last October, and so if you had a vehicle in storage, that doesn't count. So there's a few little caveats to it, but yeah, everybody's been happy with their insurance guy.
Everyone wants money.
You should check your mail. It looks like junk mail.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem with the mail nowadays. Does it come in a check? Comes in a reimbursement check? Doesn't go straight to your account?
Paper.
Okay. I have to go through that garbage.
But they apparently there's a couple more weeks of these.
Yes, I think we have until like May 9th, I believe, is the date. So if you haven't gotten it yet, some of our companies that we work with too have not paid all of it, or not paid some of our insureds, because I think some of them are starting to get like, hey, I was supposed to get this, you know, a couple more weeks, wait a few more weeks. But most have paid, some have not. But yes, there's still a couple more weeks to get the check in the mail.
And that's all part of all the changes in the insurance laws in the state of Michigan, which were designed to lower our costs of auto insurance. Has it played out that way?
Talking with the different companies, a couple years ago, we now have the choice to choose whether or not we want this unlimited medical coverage. And, talking with some of the companies as the meetings and just talking to random reps, it sounds like 95% of the people are keeping that unlimited medical. And to be honest, I would recommend that. We recommend that. The savings to go from the unlimited down to the next step down is like $500,000. It's like $100 or $150 a year. And for me, it's just not worth the savings. Now, there's more savings to opt out completely, but there's a lot of different caveats to that. And what I tell people is, just like your insurance you were just talking about, do you know your health insurance plan inside and out? I don't have a clue, right? I just want to know if I go to the doctor or the hospital, it's paid for.
Yeah.
But there's coverages within that we don't know, and there might be limitations on that. So, has there been a savings? There is, I think. They have things in place that in the next few years, it's supposed to reduce down. But here's the first sign is they're kicking out some checks where they had, some excess money to give to people. So,
Nice.
yeah, it's I guess there's more time to tell in here in the next few years.
Yeah. Chris, thanks for coming in today. We'll see you this summer, I'm sure, around the community. I gotta ask you playing in the Gussmacher?
We've got some kids tournaments scheduled, but I've got a couple kids that want to play, so I'm hoping. I see you guys got a trophy up there on the.
Yeah, it wasn't
calendar.
wasn't for winning, just for
It's honorary.
honorary. Yeah, so no, we're retired from that, but we'll be there. So maybe we'll see you coaching.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Chris Cook from LLL Insurance on the morning show. We'll be right back with Jerry Slack from Michigan Center.